Kelvin Davis.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Chair, kātahi anō hau I whai taima ki whai wā ki te kōrero ki tēnei. Engari, tuatahi mā koe tāpiri hia ōku mihi maiaha, ōku poroporo aki ki rungi te reo ngā mate nā mārama I haka huatia mai ara ko taku hoa Sean Stevenson, ko tuku atu ki te kōpū o te whenua I te rangi nei, I te ata nei, tētahi ōku hoa whakaako roti ngā kura, ko ia te tūmoaki o te kurataka waenga o Waimahia roto te tonga o Tāmaki Makaurau, nā reira e te hoa Sean, e moi atu rā. Mr. Chair, hanga pauri ana hau ki rongo e kōrero ana tātou I te pire I roto I te wahanga katoa, ko tāku I hehe ai ki a whakawehewehe I te pire nei, ki roto I ngōna wahanga e rima, kia āta tirohia tātou, kia āta wānangahia tātou I ngā wahanga o tēnei pire. Engari ahatia rai te mea horakaua hau ki konei, ko rongo hau he whakaritenga I wainganui o mātou kai whakahaere o te whare ka wānangahia tēnei pire I roto I te wahanga kotahi. Engari pai ana tēnā, ko tāku e hihi ana kia āta wānangahia kia whakawhaiiti hia kia tino whakakaha ai I tēnei pire. Hei aha, hei oranga mo tō tātou reo. E āwangawanga ana hau nā te tino whānui o ngā kōrero ka kore tātou e whakapakari ai tēnei pire. Hara I te mea hi hana hau kia haukoti hia te haere ki rote te whare. Engari I rungi tōku tino aroha mo te o tātou reo, koia tāku hehia kia kōrero I a wahanga, engari kia hatia rā. E ai ki ngā kōrero, te kōrero o te tūpuna pēni, ko te reo te Māori o te mana Māori. Nā reira, kei roto tēnā kōrero e whakahuatia, haha te take he mea tika tēnei pire. Nā reira, tautoko ngia ana hau wena kōrero rangatira o tāhimi, e pāna ki tō tātou reo. So, Mr. Chair, first of all, I just want to, Marama Fox acknowledged the passing of an esteemed kaumātua. I just also want to, in the first instance, acknowledge the passing of a good friend of mine who was actually the deputy principal of the school I was principal of. He was principal of Waimahia Intermediate in South Auckland, who passed away last Friday. An expert, a great Māori educator, and I just acknowledge Sean Stevenson. I was also disappointed to hear, this is the first opportunity I've had to talk on this bill, I was disappointed to hear that we're talking about the bill as one whole. I was hoping that we would break the bill into parts and deliberate on each of the parts, not so that we could slow down the passage of the bill or be obstructive or anything like that, just because I believe that we really need to pay due respect to the bill so that we really strengthen it and get the bill right. I believe we have an obligation to Te Reo Māori to make sure that this bill is as good as it could possibly be. So like I say, I'm not here, I didn't want to do that to slow down the passage or be obstructive, but it's just because of the depth of feeling I have personally, and I'm sure others have for Te Reo Māori. It was Penny's grandfather who said, ko te reo te mana, te Māori o te mana Māori. The language is the life force of being Māori. And I couldn't agree more. If we don't have our reo, if we don't have our language, then who are we as Māori? It is absolutely what binds us together. And it's important that we really do justice to this bill. Some of the concerns I have, in particular with the purpose, the scope and purpose of the bill, is that it's mainly administrative. So if we look at clause 3, and it says this act replaces the Māori Language Act of 1987, amends the Broadcasting Act and amends the Māori Television Service Act of 2003. And when the minister, within 3 years, goes to review this, those are really simple things to tick off and say that, yep, we've replaced the Māori Language Act, we've amended the Broadcasting Act, we've amended the Māori Television Service Act. The reality is, Mr. Chair,
Kelvin Davis.
the reality is this bill needs to do more than that. And I came into the select committee right at the end of the deliberation. I came over from another select committee. And the first thing I noted, I firmly believe that the purpose of a Māori Language Act should be to increase the numbers of Māori speakers and to improve the fluency of Māori speakers. If at the end of 3 years we can't show that if we can't demonstrate an increase in the number of Māori speakers and an increase of the fluency of people, then I believe that this bill will be a waste of time. That has got to be front and centre. Now, it was added sort of under clause 2(3)(b), where it says, this provides for Te Mātawa and the Crown to develop Māori language strategies to support the revitalisation of the Māori language, including by promoting an increase in the number of people speaking the Māori language and improving their fluency in that language. So it was added in as an afterthought, and it's not right front and centre, which is where I believe it should be. That, to me, is the purpose of this bill. The last thing I want to see is in 3 years' time or in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, we haven't made a difference because even though we've passed this bill. I mean, it's wonderful that the bill is in both languages. It's wonderful that it's the Māori, they have equal status, but if there is a dispute between which one should take precedence, it's the Māori version that takes precedence. That's wonderful. But what's the point in having a Māori language bill if in 30 years' time there's no one around that can actually read it and understand it? What's the point of having it in 2 languages if we don't have the people there who can read it and understand it? So that, it is great. It does affirm the status of Te Reo Māori, and I congratulate the Minister for making sure that the bill is in both languages. But the reality is, front and centre, we needed to have the purpose of the Act to increase the number of speakers and to improve their fluency. So clause 2 says the purpose of the Act. Clause 2A says to affirm the status of the Māori language as the Indigenous language of New Zealand. So that's affirmed what the Māori Language Act of 1987 said. It's a taonga for iwi and Māori, a taonga of iwi and Māori, and thirdly, a language valued by the nation. Okay, so if it is a taonga for iwi and Māori, if it is a language that is valued, I believe we need to have an apology in this bill. An apology for our parents and grandparents and great aunties and uncles for being punished for speaking Te Reo Māori. Now, I know that there's going to be an acknowledgement, but I don't believe an acknowledgement goes far enough. No. I believe there should be an apology. Absolutely. Basically, the disciplining of children for speaking Māori in school is partly to blame, partly and largely to blame for the fact that many Māori now cannot speak the language. And I believe that it is essential that there's an apology. Now, I know that treaty settlement bills that are going through and acts that have been passed have an apology of sorts for a number of things, but I believe that we should have an apology for our forebears being strapped and caned for speaking Māori. It's not good enough just to have this iwi gets an apology for a whole heap of things, as well as their people not being able to speak Māori. I think it needs to be essential. Now, I'm not sure in the future what the downstream effects of an apology are, and I just wonder if the government actually is concerned that if we apologise now, that it might lead to downstream effects and other issues. I don't know. I generally don't know, but I honestly do believe that an apology to Māori is essential for our forebears being whacked at school. Okay, the education system has tried to make amends. We now have kohanga reo, kura kaupapa Māori, we have wānanga. That's great, but now it's almost getting to the stage where it's too late. And I actually heard somebody say probably 15 years ago when I was still a principal, saying that it is unfair now to leave the burden of revitalisation of Te Reo Māori up to schools. You know, and you think about it, Mr. Chair.
The Honourable Nanaia.